welcome you to today's program of The Business Coach. This is a very wonderful time whereby we do talk about issues to do with business. The name is Precious Chikatiko, and I have the business coach, Professor Kingston Prince Ngwira. And in today's edition of The Business Coach, we are going to talk about types of businesses. So in case you have money and you want to venture into business, we need to equip you. You need to know the types of businesses. But before we start discussing the types of businesses, let me welcome the business coach into the program today. Welcome, the business coach.
Thank you so much, Precious. And also let's welcome every viewer outside there, especially those that are aspiring to be entrepreneurs, or possibly you are already into various business ventures. We say welcome aboard.
Today we are going to talk about types of businesses. A business, what is a business?
Very, very wonderful question indeed. What is business? In many cases, business is, we can say, is the exchange of products with money. Exchange of products and money. So it means you are talking about two people, a seller and a buyer, but also there must be the medium of exchange, which is now price, which is actually money. So combination of these, then we say that's a business. So it means there must be a seller, there must be a buyer. Otherwise, if you are a buyer alone, you can't say you're in business. If you are a seller, you want to sell, but you don't have the buyer, you can't say you are actually in business. But where a seller and a buyer meet, an exchange of value in terms of money, then we are saying that is what we would call business. So indeed today we want to look at various types of businesses. Last time we looked at the issues of business finance. You would want to venture into business. How do you raise capital to finance your business? And we talked about the capital structure, looking at how the business is actually financed. And we saw that it's either a business is financed by equity capital, your own funds, or debt capital, if maybe you are actually have gone to borrow, like from lenders of finance, financial institutions. And remember that we said that debt capital is not free. There is cost of capital or cost of actually borrowing. We talked about the issues of analysis to say if you want to go into a certain business and you want to borrow, you want to use borrowed funds into your business, ensure that the business is be able to pay the principal back to the lender of finance, like the banks, and also it's able to give back the interests that are required, because those are the profits to the lenders of finance, but also a little bit of profit to be added to that. Remember that in marketing we have been saying we need to satisfy customers profitably. So it's not an aim of an entrepreneur to sell a product at a break-even point where the sales is equal to the input. You have actually pushed in maybe 200,000 and then you are also getting 20,000. That's not the aim of an entrepreneur. He is there to make returns from his investments. So which means we talked about productivity to say it must be always 2 to 1 or more than 2 to 1. So if you have put 200,000, then you must have maybe 400,000 or 300,000, so that is above 200. Because apart from those costs that are directly linked with the production or cost of sales, you are talking about other costs like administrative expenses, for example. You need to pay salaries, for example, even some overheads, they also have to be made. So payment of creditors, for example, all those, they require finances, and then it's not only finances to go into cost of production. So we delve about all those things. So we think we are at the right time to talk about the levels of the types of businesses after knowing if you want to raise your own capital without borrowing. Remember we talked about, for example, savings, which I would say that savings is a perfect substitute of borrowing. Indeed, if you save, maybe you are working or maybe you are doing other things, but you are saving somewhere, then you have your target of how much capital you need for your business. It is very, very important that you save, because the time that you'll be wanting to invest in your business, you just use your money. Otherwise, savings is a perfect substitute of borrowing. If you don't save, then you'll be thinking of borrowing. And we say in many cases, nobody might give you money to start a business, talking about borrowed funds. Even the banks might not give you monies if you don't have anything. They would want financial statements. One of them may be it's the statement of financial position. Others call it balance sheet. So they would want to see if you are in default, what items we can put on collateral, so that they can grab it and then sell it to recover the money they actually gave you. So if you're just starting, you find that you don't have the financial statements. And sometimes they will also be looking at the income statements. Just look at how much profits are you making? Are you making losses or profits? So that after they have given you the money, they want to see whether you can still operate when you are actually paying that money. As we said in the business finance, if you overborrow, if you increase gearing, the level of borrowing you are increasing, then you see that all the proceeds that you get from turnover or sales will be going towards the repayment of that loan. Yet there are other factors that also require spending. As I said, maybe issues of taxation, issues of procurement of fixed assets, for example, payment of salaries, rentals, and other things. All those payment of creditors, they actually require money. Therefore, it's not only the area of paying money in terms of repaying for that date. So, Precious, yes, I think we are at the right time to talk about three types of businesses. And number one type that we want to talk about is what we call sole trader. Sole trader. So you have the money. You have known through business finance how you can raise your funds, equity finance, all right, through savings, maybe through sponsorship. Somebody is just sponsoring you, or maybe you have some reserves, or you have sold some fixed assets. You have 2-3 cars. You can sell one, maybe at 3 million, for example. You have that capital, but also the issue of debt capital. So we are saying you're an entrepreneur, you want to go solo. You want to go alone. And because many people don't want to be with others, because they don't want to part away with ownership. They think so that type of business we talk about is called sole trader. Sole trader, it means you as an entrepreneur alone, not with the others, but yourself, you are getting into that venture. It's called sole trader. Now, there are some benefits when you go into the business alone without engaging with anybody else. Number one, we would say that at the end of the financial year, the profits that you make, all that money is entirely yours, all the profits. So if you are really a womanizer, you can say, let me get 3-4 wives. I have too much profits. Or let me go to the lake and enjoy myself. Nobody is going to question you. So all the profits that you make, they belong to you. That's the first advantage, the first benefit when you're actually a sole trader. Number two, we can talk about quick decision making. You will not be able to consult someone to say, you just make a decision and then you proceed. All right? Of course, we also talk about family businesses, whether the husband can also consult a wife, but in many cases we are saying the one that started the business has liberty to make decisions, and he can make decisions, very, very quick. So there are actually those benefits when you are actually going into a sole trader. Quick decision making, and everything that you make, all that wealth actually belongs to you. And then we also have some disadvantages of being solo, going alone into the business. One of the disadvantages is that challenges, difficulties to raise capital because you are just alone. I'm not talking about the business that is already there, but the business that you want to start. So you are alone. it would still take time for you to find maybe to have the money, all those things, because you're actually alone. So sometimes failure to raise finance, failure to raise capital, that's one of the disadvantages. But also, when the founder, the owner of the business dies, that's the end. That's the end. And if he hasn't done proper successful planning, then the business is going to collapse. Nobody is going to proceed from there. Because it will be like the skills, the knowledge, the talents, they have gone with him.
Anthu amati anapita nacho.
Anapita nacho. It reminds me in the Bible, somebody called Elisha, whose father was Elijah. Elijah had left the mantle of the anointing to Elisha. But Elisha, when he died, he did not pass that anointing to anybody else. And when he was buried, the Bible says somebody was buried closer to the body of Elisha. Mafupa awina adakuza mafupa a Elisha anadzuka. To show that somebody anapita the anointing yours. You see? So when the founder dies, it means he has gone with talents, skills, and everything else. So that's another disadvantage. When somebody is sick, it's a problem, right? Unless the other partners, the other, family members, they know how the business, they can be able to assist. Of course, it's also one of the benefits to say he can be assisted by one of the family members, a husband or a wife or children, into that type of business. And another disadvantage is what we call that, we say that there is no limited liability. Unlike when we talk about the company, the corporation, we say a limited liability company. So what we are saying is, in a limited liability company, when the company is not doing well, the company is doing badly, and it has got debts with many people, the creditors cannot go to the house of the owners of the company and say that we are resolving, because by law, the company or the business is a legal person. But also the owners are also legal persons.
So these two are separate.
These two are separate. In short, we would say there is a complete divorce between ownership and the company that is there. But it is ignorance that will make someone to go to the house of the owners of the business and then saying, we want money. You give us our money because the company is owing them. That would be ignorance, savage, right? Because the two are different. In this case, the institution has power to sue. The institution can also be sued. So if there are issues, it means whoever should be able to go to the institution and sue the institution, because the institution can be sued as a person, but also can sue as a person. So that is what happens on a limited liability company. So what we're saying is, in a sole trader business, there is no limited liability. What we are saying, the business and the person, they are one. They are the same thing. So what affects the business there, it will also affect him. Then it means some debts or some creditors, when they come to the business, if they don't find good property there, they say, because the business and yourself, you are not actually one. So when these things are clear by anybody who wants to go into entrepreneurship, they have money. We have talked about business finance, either debt capital or equity capital, debt finance or equity finance. But what type of business do you want to go in? So we are saying the sole trader, the business and yourself, it means you are actually one. And in fact, what we are saying is, assuming there is an issue in the court of law, and then the entrepreneur has been called to answer certain charges, it is possible that the entrepreneur can be jailed. A judge can pass a sentence leading to an entrepreneur to go to jail.
Under sole trader.
Under sole trader. Because the business and himself, they are one. But in a limited liability company, the owners, the shareholders, might not be called to pay for the debts of those businesses. or rather from their homes. But also if there is a problem in the courts, it will just end through fine. Okay, they must be fined, and maybe in the sale of goods contract, then if there was really a contract between a buyer and a seller, the judge will be able to look at it. Okay, there was an offer, there was an acceptance, these guys were in a contract. But where did they separate or maybe disagree? All right? So who was wrong, who was actually right? Later on, it will just aim at compensating the other person. If monies were not paid, the judge would want the one that he has been victimized should be compensated by making sure the money is paid. If he doesn't have money that time, well, you'll be asked to say, when can you have the money? Or how are you going to pay that money? This reminds me that the cases, they are of two categories. You have civil case and criminal case. Other people, because they don't understand what is a civil case and a criminal case, they just have fear on everything, all right? Because if you, for example, you are a sole trader, and then you went to order goods, and through maybe credit, like LPO or local purchase order, you have agreed 30 days, 60 days for you to pay. You did not go to anybody to steal. Somebody came and delivered the goods to you, and you have signed somewhere, and it's a matter of giving the payment later on. So if you are failing to pay, there is no way that you can be jailed.
That is not a criminal case.
No, it's not a criminal case. You did not steal. Because maybe the definition of stealing is taking somebody's property without him knowing. That's stealing. But in this case, you did not get that item without the owner knowing. The owner came with it to you, delivered it to you on a delivery note, and then he brought in an invoice later on. And then you are failing to pay. That's why if he goes to court and they call you for hearing, you don't go there, then they can actually pass judgment in your absence. And you find that someone's come, and sometimes sheriffs come to you, just because you did not actually go to the court in that way. So they will come to they'll come to the company, the sheriffs will come, not that you have stolen, but all they want is to get that property so that they sell to recover their money. Yeah, so they will not come to say, "Tieni kundendi." No, because you did not steal. All right? It differs, like some people say, getting property through false pretense. Yeah, it differs from what we are saying. That maybe you are tricking, or maybe you want to get things not in the right way. We're not saying, but we are saying here, somebody came to deliver the goods to you in terms of sales. He was looking for business, and you were also looking for the materials, for production and other things, and you agreed in terms of paying 30 days or 60 days, but maybe at that time, for one reason or another, you have not actually found the money. So this one could be able to sue you. It will not end that the entrepreneur must go to jail, but issues of fine.
They will not even talk about the issues of obtaining things under false pretense.
No. Because there is actually that process. One, you visited them, yes, looking for quotations. And you have that business that requires you to go and get materials for your production to feed to help your customers. So somebody is giving you the goods on trust. So he has visited the premises, he's in this business, let's assist him. And then, as I said, maybe there is also a contractual document, like LPO, local purchase order. You do all those things, and you agree, and the invoice says strictly 30 days from the date of what? Invoice. So it's like you have gone into a contract. So by not paying at the right time, you are breaching the contract. Yeah. So as a result, this is where now he'll be able to sue you, so that he should be should be compensated. Suing you shall not mean that you go to jail. That's why you find that you receive summons, that you go and answer in the courts, whether it's true that you got those goods but you have not actually paid, right? If it was criminal, it means they will not take you you go with the hands of the police first. Stay in a cell. That is now kuba kumayuesunabe. So all these things, they would actually happen in a sole trader business. And The other thing is that we are saying like partnership business, which is the business number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in a partnership business, it's a business that takes place between 2 to about 20 people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, between 2 to 20 people, you can have 10 people, 12 people. Let's gang together and then let's do business. It's from one person, so you say from 2. So it means you can have 2 people that they can go and start business, and then they could be like partners in business. So one is not alone, but he has with others that he has partnered to go into business. And in many cases, partnership business also has some advantages. Some of them, of course, similar to like sole trader.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the advantages is that there is consultation before a decision is made.
Is it an advantage
Yes,
or
it
a
is.
disadvantage?
No, it is. It is. The consultation, because if you make wrong decisions, some decisions can be costly decisions because you don't have an advisor, or maybe nobody would say this decision is wrong, this decision is right. But in the sole trader, we are saying there is quick decision making, all right, because you are alone. But this other side, it means there is no quick decision making because you have to wait. Now that becomes a disadvantage. But the consultation, it is an advantage because you consult each other so that you make or you have objective decisions. So there is consultation before the decision is made, but also just as the profits that are made in a sole trader, all of them, they belong to the sole trader. In this case, all the profits, they belong to the 2 of you, or how many people you are, but of course it means you share according to ratios, all right? Maybe it's a capital contribution of 10 million, but somebody has put 3 million, somebody has put 2 million, somebody has put 5 million. Then depending on what one has put in, then you will be getting profits depending on those ratios. Somebody getting 2 million, pushing 2 million, maybe gets 20%, for example, of the profits. Somebody who puts in 33 million, he gets 30% of the profits. Somebody who puts 5 million, he gets possibly 50% of the profits. So we call it appropriation of profits in a business partnership theme. So, but also there could be advantages like sharing of skills in business partnership. So you might be good at certain skills, talents, but you don't have money.
Yes.
So if somebody has money, but you have got the skills, this one doesn't have the skills, but he has money. So you can actually combine those skills and talents, knowledge of the business, and possibly the financial muscle that one has. So somebody might be good at A, B, C, D. This other one is not good at that, but he has other things. When he brings them together, total, it's like you complement, on each other. So those are some of the advantages of business partnerships. But also there are some disadvantages, all right? As we said, maybe decisions could be delayed because one wants to consult. Unlike in a partnership firm, in sole trader, the decisions are quick because we don't consult anyone. But also, as we said, in the sole trader, whereby when the partnership dies, when a sole trader dies, in many cases, there is nobody to continue that unless there was a good succession plan. In a partnership, the same thing. When one of the partners, especially the wealthy partner, somebody who is more in terms of having more money than the other partner, when that one with the wealthier partner dies, then this one is paralyzed because it doesn't have resources. He was depending on the other one. So you are looking at that when he dies, but also when one wealthy partner withdraws, he can withdraw. So to withdraw, it means to paralyze the other person because of the skills and the knowledge and the competencies that are actually there. But just as also the sole trader, whereby there is no limited liability, the business partnership field, there is also no limited liability, whereby the partners and the business, they are actually one. There is actually no difference.
Okay.
And if there are problems, finances, then indeed creditors can go to the houses of the partners, even to grab some properties, cars, whatever, so that they could actually repay, sell and recover for whatever monies they have spent. And lastly, because of time, then we are talking about the limited liability company. So, as I said, the word limited liability company, number one, we are saying that when things go wrong, go sour, because to me as an entrepreneur, when things don't go well in business, it's part of the game, right? Maybe it also gives you a window to say, what are the lessons I can learn? Or possibly, what will be my next move, okay? So when things are sour, and then maybe issues of liquidation, when you are trying to wind up, or issues of bankruptcy. So it's like you are saying, maybe there could be creditors to pay, okay? Now what we are saying is at that time creditors cannot go to the owners or the investors or shareholders of the business to ask money from them, all right? But what would happen is that all the proceeds that are there can be sought, and then priorities, so let's start with creditors. And if there are any leftovers, they can go to investors or maybe the shareholders. So it means the business is limited liability. But also there is a distinct existence between ownership and the company itself. We are saying the company and the owners, the investors or shareholders are not one. They are different people altogether. So by the end of the day, the advantages of limited liability company, you would be able to enjoy dividends at the end of the financial year, okay? But also, the corporate